right then, let's go on with the regular meeting of Town Council, folks. All right. I hope you all had the time to read what needed to be read before the beginning of the meeting. So we've just come out of closed sessions and we've adopted some new measures moved by Councillor Guillemot, seconded by Councillor Zant, that we exit the closed session that we were previously involved in. All those in favor? Carried then, thank you. All right then. All right then, folks. Well, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Mayor is rather thirsty before the beginning of this regular meeting. All right then. Let's go on to consent items. Announcements. I'd like to announce that the Warden's Tournament will be held on June the 24th in Hammond. That's about it. Any other announcements? Councillor Lalonde? Yes, Thursday of this particular week, the annual barbecue at the Simplicity School to raise funds for the school. This coming Wednesday, or is it this coming Thursday? This coming Thursday, Mr. Mayor. Well, this is what was relayed to me information-wise. And June the 17th, tournament for the Roger Seguin golf tournament, a fundraising endeavor to rebuild the center or to renovate the center from top to bottom for the 17th of June. 17th of June, that's right. It's a Friday prior to the United Counties tournament. We're called upon to participate 3 golf tournaments, 3 successive weekends, 3 successive Fridays, the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. Let's continue on with golf announcements. Yes, another Knights of Columbus golf tournament, Clanton and Rockland golf tournament, to raise funds for Valoris Prescott Russell, held on the 11th of June. Shotgun start, of course. Those who wish to register, Mr. Jacques Dubé, 613-446-9917, or 613, or Mr. Albert Bourdeau. Again, Knights of Columbus tournament, shotgun start, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Also, the new Chamber of Commerce hosts a golf tournament on the 10th of June. It's a wine and dine event, and it's held here in Rockland. Anything else? Any other announcements? Well then, let's keep on going, shall we? Consent items. Any questions? Veronique, do you have any questions? Does anyone have any questions? Well, the question period is over and done with then. Well, as far as this regular meeting of Town Council is concerned. All right then. All right then. Resolutions. Let's go on to resolutions. Fine. So we've gone over the comment question period. No one has any questions for Town Council? Council members' items, maybe? All right, well, let's go on to consent items. Does anyone wish to remove any consent items? Well, item 10.2. I would wish to withdraw for further deliberation. Go ahead. Be it resolved that the items identified as consent items that are on the regular meeting agenda be adopted. 10.1, adoption of the minutes of the following meetings. A, special meeting of December the 9th, 2015. B, Committee of the Whole meeting of December 21st, 2015. C, Committee of the Whole meeting of January the 11th, 2016. And minutes of the regular meeting of April the 18th, 2016. 10.3, adoption of the following items as recommended by the Committee of the Whole. A, extension of the draft plan of subdivision, Ryan's Ridge. And B, extension of the draft plan of subdivision, Nolin-Simard. 10.4, Rockland Drinking Water System 2015-2016 Annual Report. 10.5, resignation of Mrs. Lorraine Seguin and Mrs. Margot Shepherd-Hébert as members of the Cultural Advisory Committee. seconded by Councillor Grimard. All those in favor? Carried then, thank you. Let's revisit now item 10.2. Mr. Mayor, these are the, I wish to withdraw those, or those particular minutes of the Committee of Adjustment of March 15, 2016 for further deliberation before adopting all consent items. Yes, that's right. So moved by Councillor Lalonde and seconded by Councillor Simard that we revisit this particular item. All right then. The question that I had, Mr. Mayor, dealing with the meetings of the March 15th Committee of Adjustment Committee. Item 1, Claire Lemay, Urban Planner, gives further clarifications with regards to required conditions concerning report AMA 16-22R. Now, when I took a look at this particular report, I'd like to be aware that we need to ensure that those conditions that are mentioned be registered at the Land and Titles Russell Registration Office. Mr. Carrier? Well, I have to take a look at this particular file, Mr. Mayor. I'm not at all. I didn't receive an update as to this. So you'll come back to us on this? Yes. This is a property that abuts the Outaouais River. Standards dictated 30 meters from the river, and we're asked to modify this to 5 meters. I know that those that required construction permits along the river in the past were required to register all claims and titles at the registration office. Well, this is a minor variance request. It's accepted by the official plan. Well, yes, but let me tell you this, Mr. Mayor. You know, they only built a pool close to Highway 17. They were sued in court, and the town was sued in court. I was not a town councillor at that time. I was sitting in Toronto in my capacity as a legislator there. Well, the reason that Mr. Lalonde is proposing this is for the purpose of protecting us in the municipality. Is that it, Mr. Lalonde? Yes, that's right, to protect us from further actions. Yes, Mr. Carrier will come back with further information, with additional information as to this. Well, that's fine. So we'll defer the adoption or the receipt of the minutes of the Committee of Adjustment of March 15, 2016, until this is cleared up. So you wish, Mr. Mayor, that this be brought back for further discussion and ratification at the next meeting? Yes, dealing with the registration office, land registration office matter, or component, if you wish, of this issue. 11.1, accounts paid. Be it resolved that the accounts payable in the amount of $4,671,843.23 be adopted as recommended. Seconded by Councillor Simard. Questions? Does this amount include salaries? You know, when we're talking about accounts payable, Mr. Keogh? No, it does not. Well, we have to adopt a resolution, separate resolutions for salaries. Salaries are a separate component. Well, we're talking about this $4 million worth of accounts paid, but salaries are not included? No. There's a separate resolution for salaries and a separate resolution for accounts payable. Well, the salary-related account is not included. Well, of course, both resolutions are included together, but this particular resolution was adopted at the last regular meeting of Town Council. This resolution relating to salaries. Well, I do believe that we have this before us because during the last time around, we believed that we did not all have all of the information with regards to salaries the last time around, and we did have. It was confirmed that we did have all of the requisite information. So that's why we still have that before us this month. So all those in favor then? Carried. Let's go on now to bylaws, shall we, folks? Bylaws. Councillor Zant, do we ask that some be withdrawn? Well, not really to be withdrawn, but to be discussed under item 12.3, the waste rates for 2016. Those 2016 rates for waste seems to be that these bylaws we're dealing with are consent items. But I would wish us to discuss this particular item, or more of a comment I would like to make rather than into a protracted discussion. We'd like to inform the public at large because we're also talking about the tax rate. It would be advisable for the public tuning in be made aware of this. So 12.3 and 12.4. I believe we're. You see, the bylaws the contents don't jive with the resolutions that we have before us. We're talking about amending the zoning bylaw. 12.3 refers to rates for waste collection. We're talking about 12.1650 and 12.1655. Just give us a moment. It's an instantaneous update that we're requiring here and nothing less. That's fine. All right. So 12.3, 12.4 should relate to 2016-51 and -50. All I have to do is drop just a tiny arrow, bring it up to the top of the document, and everything is settled. Oh, so you're referring to the Flintstones way of doing things? Yes, but it works. We're still waiting for your your final word on this, Madam Clerk. Won't be long, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for giving me a bit of extra time to sort out the documents here. We can still proceed to the reading of the bylaw. Yes. If you rely on the sheet before you, the 12, so the English version has been fixed, so we'll proceed with that. Fine. Go ahead. 12.3 also refers to a zoning bylaw here. Well, so we're referring to two individual tax rates. Okay, be it resolved that the following bylaws be adopted. 12.1, 2016-47 to amend the official plan of the urban area of the city of Clarence and Rockland, 601-605 Pouliot. 12.2, 2016-48 to amend the zoning bylaw, 601-605 Pouliot. 12.3, 2006, oh, I'm sorry, oh, never mind that one. 12.4, 2016, we're discussing 12.5, okay. 2016-55 to amend zoning bylaw, part of Lot 14, Concession 9, Gagne Road in Hammond. 12.6, 2016-57 to authorize the signature of an agreement with Integra Network to replace the city's IT infrastructure and invest in new requirements, including disaster recovery and archiving technology. And 12.7, 2016-51, or 59, should I say, to authorize the signature of an agreement with RV Anderson for sanitary sewage treatment plant upgrades. Seconded by Councillor Simard. Any questions with regards to those bylaws? All those in favor? Carried then. Well, that's fine. Let's now revisit item 12.3, just for discussion purposes. If we can refer to the financial report, the 2016-05, paragraph 8 of page 8. I'd just like an explanation as to the increase of the rate. I think it's the fixed rate, if I'm not mistaken, of 43%. Commercial rate, 43% increase and 25% increase with regards to the residential rate. I'd like to enlighten as to how we came to such a high increase from a commercial standpoint while we're trying to interest businesses to set up shop in our areas, and we have an increase of 43% within a year's time. I know the contract is quite high. Why is there such a major difference between residential and commercial rates? Mr. Kehoe. Mr. Mayor, this particular report was approved by Council in December. Now, there was a report forwarded to Council in December. It was a new contract involving the City of Clarence and Rockland. And really, this was a standard that was modified since the inception of the old contract. And the difference in between commercial and commercial the residential and commercial rates is explained this way. There's more residential, so the rate is not as high. We don't have as much commercial developments, much less. Uh, isn't it the fact also, isn't it tied into the fact that a lot of businesses are making use of their own private services to pick up waste? Yes, that also has something to do with it. If I memory serves me right, when we dealt with this, we were going to come up with a more balanced approach to this. Those major businesses that rely on their own waste services pay for their own collection fees. So otherwise, we give out contracts to small and medium-sized businesses within Clarence and Rockland. You know, someone who wishes to start up a business takes a look at the report, an increase of 43%. I know this is a new contract, but it seems that we were trying to come up with a more stabilizing factor and take a look at those businesses that produce more waste than others. Notwithstanding the rate, and before an individual produces, let's say, 2 bags worth of waste or 24 bags of waste, the same rate applies. I think we should take a quick look at those businesses that produce less waste as opposed to others, or that generate less waste, if you wish, as opposed to a fast food restaurant, let's say a restaurant on Laurier Street, as of Monday morning, that has piled up garbage bags that need to be picked up, or a business such as, let's say, a hairdressing salon that will certainly not generate as much waste. Both are called upon to pay the same rate, and I find that a bit difficult to reconcile this in my mind. And Mr. Denis Lompré is working on this particular matter. I believe that the report will be ready for your perusal prior to the 2017 budget. If it's necessary for us to modify the rate, it's possible for us to do so prior to next year. Well, we can wait until 2017 to see if any changes can be brought about then. Just one last comment, I'll say. Very difficult to reconcile the fact that prices are going up and up and up. You know, we'd asked that this be revised, Mr. Mayor, and we'll wait until 2017 to revisit and then approve new costs. It's difficult to act in a timely fashion here. I figured that up to 43% increase. Well, I'm in agreement with you that not too many businesses, not many businesses, not, let's just put it this way. There are some businesses, Mr. Mayor, that generate a lot of waste, and others do not, but they're called upon to say the same rate. I don't think it's proportional. It should be. It should be, I think. All right. All those in favor then? Thank you. Carried. So we'll revisit this definitely in 2017. Yes. Fine. It was moved by Councillor Grimard, seconded by Councillor Levert, that all bylaws, all those in favor? All those in favor of setting the waste collection rates for this year? I'm in agreeing. I agree with the residential, but not with the commercial rate. Well, Councillor Grimard had asked that we take a look at commercial rates. Mr. Mayor, if you'll allow me this comment, I find this process quite frustrating. You see, because we go through a budget that allows us to ask questions. This is an open budget process, and we might, we're called upon to ask questions, to enter into maybe not an open negotiation, but to come up to an agreement. We have a sufficient amount of material to go through. I know that, but it's quite frustrating. I find being asked to revisit a certain point, and then we're told, well, it's too late to move on it this year. We might look at it next year. As Mr. Grimard has stated, I have a hard time accepting this rationale. Initially, we'd asked to clarify this item, and now we're asked to vote upon this, notwithstanding our initial objection. Mr. Kehoe. Well, Mr. Mayor, Council approved this report in December. Now, the rates, this bylaw ought to have been prepared, ready to be voted on, and ratified in December. But we waited for the tax rates to be pinpointed. So in December, when we were asked to tackle those rates, and I think that Councillor Grimald is quite right in his comments with regards to the high rate of high commercial rate. Those particular rates at that time in December, were approved, and they are enacted. They are in effect. It's important that this bylaw thus be approved. I understand, Mr. Keogh, and I understand totally the situation they're in. I hope the administration also understands our position, and we need to do something in 2017 because will will cause more harm than good. Does Ottawa and neighboring municipalities have a different way of tackling their waste collection rates, residential as opposed to commercial? Well, Mr. Mayor, we've just entered into a new contract with a new supplier. We'll obtain data as far as the tonnage of waste that he will collect. Mr. Lompré, well, I've had discussions with Mr. Lompré. Now, this idea came up to have an equivalent rate based upon tonnage collected. But we're not there yet as far as data collected goes. Of course, there's some waste containers of different size that are also involved. We'll try to be fair and equitable with everyone. What I was also quite surprised this weekend, I received a phone call. Well, things started off last week. I visited folks in your neck of the woods. A group of individuals are completely disconnected from our waste collection system. There's a sector that has 38 units that decided not to uh, take on our services because they pay $110 per year instead of $131. I thought that this process was mandatory when we were voting upon a contract at this table, that everyone hopped on board with the rate fixed. But there are 31 units decided to sign a waste collection agreement. 31 entities. Now there's another apartment block on Edward Street. I was told the same thing occurred there. So that individual phoned me up and went with the services of a company that imposed a cost of 110 instead of $110, instead of 131 or 189 really. And I was quite surprised. Do they have the right to do this? Well, we might have to take a look at the situation. Well, this cost is imposed is tacked on to individual tax bills, right? Well, let's take a look at this, Mr. Keogh. I'd need the address in which those people entered into a separate agreement with the uh, garbage collector at a lower price than what was set by the municipality. That's fine. So we'll look into this then. That's fine. Thank you. And I'll come back to council with it because you see, this is a slippery slope here. There are already 38 units that enter into a separate agreement, and then there's an apartment block also that entered into another separate agreement. Word will spread, and everyone will do the same. There's another similar incident that or similar situation that will arise on Edward Street. I'm surprised by what Mr. Lalonde has stated here. I'm quite caught by surprise. Now, I stand ready to vote on the figures that are before us, but we should include in the bylaw that we expect to obtain a revised report with comparables involving other municipalities of the same size as ours. Merchants might say then, okay, well, this is the price, and if there's a difference in prices where we're very high, our purpose is to adjust our rates. I know that we voted upon the budget this year. There's nothing much to do. So everyone in favor then? Everyone in favor? Yes, Mrs. Willett. Now, Councillor Guimard states uh, that something in the resolution be put in to mandate town administration to look into this. So we have to modify the resolution. You may adopt the bylaw and then add a paragraph to the final resolution. I'm trying to come up the resolution. There is one. Well, does it relate to the financial report or the environmental report? Well, 12.3 has a resolution for the adoption of the bylaw. Well, 12.3 only states private. Oh, I see, I see. Let's fix that then. Every, for example, water rates uh, have a fixed rate. It might be advisable to come up with a report then, right? That's right. A question here. Those companies that visit businesses to collect waste, those revenues come to our territory? What do you mean? Well, they have to separate residential waste collection. For example, leaves that are picked up during the fall by separate companies. Have Well, the fact that no now have a waste scale. See, all of the waste during spring or fall collection needs to be weighed. So, all right. In any event, all of you know that a landfill site, especially when waste is brought to a particular landfill site, it's hard to keep and keep hold of. We're going to have to come up with a new landfill site in in the coming years. May I read the this new resolution? Yes. Be it resolved that Town Council adopt a 2016-50 being a bylaw to regulate 2016 rates for waste, and be it resolved that Town Council mandate Town Administration to come up with a report forwarded to Town Council to reduce, uh, if possible, the rate imposed for commercial waste pickup for 2017 and to supply the. That's all right. It's all right, Councillor Grival. I don't want to speak too quickly. And to come up with a comparative rate report comparing other similar type municipalities and the rates they imposed with ours. Anything else we'd like to add? Fine. That's all. Seconded by Councillor Zant. All those in favor then? Carried. Thank you. 2016-51 to approve the final tax rates. Well, Mr. Mayor, the reason that I asked this to be withdrawn from the usual list of consent items or bylaws, do you want me to read it? Be it resolved that Town Council adopt a 2016-51 bylaw being a bylaw to approve the 2016's final tax rates. I'd like to second this, Mr. Mayor. Go ahead, Mr. Lalonde. I'd just like to inform make those tuning in aware of the fact that we can determine the mean average increase for property taxes. We have an example, a $290,000 assessed property. We were talking about a 1.97. I was told that we'll come up to about a 1.3 or 1.5 on average. We'll be able to peg it to that average. Well, Mr. Mayor, if we relied on the report, we've presented to you a grid that reflects the mean average tax rate of a property that's assessed at $290,000. That's the mean average here in Johnson-Rockton, and municipal taxes would be 1.96% increase for counties, 1%, and for schools, approximately 1% increase for an average rate for an average property here in Johnson-Rockton of 1.5%. That includes schools. That's right. The other thing I'd like to make you aware of is that in Section 8, financial tables or financial statements, one can readily notice that during the budget process we'd come up with an amount of $7,620 and $900. Those represented our taxes for this year. Mr. Keogh? not 17,000, 17 million. You stated 17,000. You have to include your pay in all of this, so it's 17 million. Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, a slip of the tongue. So, to come up with final rates, we've drawn up our budget for December, but we had to wait for schools and counties data to finalize our tax rate. And counties imposed a final tax ratio covering counties, all counties. And there wasn't all that much of a great difference or in between the two. Now the mill rate last year was pegged at 65.80 per mill. This year it's pegged at 64.06 per mill. Well, the rates that have been modified are included in Appendix A, and all tax rates are broken down in different classes. So an average household of $290,000, an increase of $54.95 for a $290,000 assessed home. So a tax increase of $54.95, broken down in monetary figures. Any other questions then? Fine. That's it then. Confirmatory bylaw. Let's go on. Be it resolved that Town Council of the City of Clarence and Rockland adopt a bylaw 2016-58, being confirmatory bylaw for the regular meeting of May the 2nd, 2016. Seconded by Councillor Zant. All those in favor? Adjournment called at 7:48 p.m. Yes, indeed.